In this video, we will look at how can we using the diagram to examine the assumption 1 for the linear regression model. So the first assumption for linear regression model is the model, the x and y should have the linear relationship. So in order to examine this assumption, we will use scatter plot x versus y with the fitting line. So in order to identify if the assumption 1 is violated or not, and we need to look at the criterion. So the criterion for you to decide that the assumption 1 is not violated is stated as here. There is no curvature for the scatter plot, and they are not scattered too far away from the fitted line. Then we will identify the assumption 1 is not violated. So here is an example. So now let's go back to look at the Excel. So after you get the Excel output, you should be able to, for this example, you should be able to get 5 different plot. So the top one is normal probability plot. We will see it later. And besides that, we have 4 actual scatter plot. So these 4 actual scatter plot, if you look at the name, so the first one here is the junior X4 line fit plot, sophomore X3 line fit plot, freshman X2 line fit plot, and age X1 line fit plot. So actually, these 4 are our line fitted scatter plot, X versus Y scatter plot with a fitting line. So the reason is why we have 4 different plots, because in this whole example we have 4 different predictors, X1, X2, X3, and X4. So in order to create the 2-dimensional scatter plot, so you will use each X against the Y to create a scatter plot. So we will have 4 different scatter plots. So in this case, we have this example is very special. Only x1 is quantitative variable, so we can just don't look at x2, x3, x4, just focusing on x2, x1. So to identify if x1 is violated or not, and we need to adjust the diagram a little bit to find our trend line. So first, choose one of the orange dot. So they are predicted GPA, so we don't need it. And push delete on your keyboard. And then choose one of your blue dot. Right-click the mouse and add trend line. So choose the linear. So now you will be able to see this linear line. So does the assumption 1 violated? So assumption 1 means, so there is no curvature. So let's go back to look at. There is no curvature for the scatter plot, and they are not scattered too far away from the fitted line. So if we go back to look at this diagram, first, we do not see the curvature. However, we do find some scatters, they are far away from the trend line. So we can identify the assumption 1 is violated. As I said, the diagram, using the diagram to decide if the assumption is violated or not is very subjective. So it's better to perform the statistic test to test the assumption. However, based on the diagram, it will give an initial idea about if the assumption is valid or not. So using the line fitted plot to examine if assumption 1 is violated or not.